Welcome to Unscripted, a Siena Hoops podcast. I'm a Siena senior, Carter Gooley.
And I'm Siena sophomore, Joe Lemery. And we're here to bring you the inside scoop on Siena's NIL collective, Saints March On.
Hear from players, coaches, and more as we bring you the X's and O's of the Siena men's and women's basketball teams.
So sit back and enjoy.
And we're going to be your hosts for this podcast, so we want to take the time to introduce ourselves. I'm Joe, one of the hosts. I am a sophomore here at Siena College, majoring in sports communications with minors in creative arts and entrepreneurship. I'm very involved here. I am a manager for the girls basketball team. I've been involved with them for 2 years now. I absolutely love it. I've been working with our production truck that we have here on campus, doing games such as volleyball, soccer, baseball, you name it. Super fun time. I really enjoy it. And now I'm here doing the Saints March On podcast with Carter. So I'm very excited, and I can't wait to get started. Carter?
Yeah, I'm Carter. I'm a senior sports communications major with a minor in writing communications. I am a co-leader of campus ministry. I am the treasurer of the newly founded TV club here at Siena. I am the social media manager for the rugby team. I'm starting this podcast, and I also have a few other internships outside of Siena, and I also help with the production truck. So I'm also super excited to get this going, helping to get you guys more involved, behind the scenes information with the coaches and the players and other people in athletics. So just can't wait to get started. Now, welcome to our first episode of Unscripted, a Siena Hoops podcast. I'm Carter, he's Joe, and today we got a great lineup of guests for you.
Yes, indeed. We have Coach Carmen Maciariello. We have Coach Jabir. We have Valencia Fontenelle-Posson. And we have Scott Noel, an NIL board member.
And now we're joined by head coach of the Siena men's basketball team, Coach Carm. Thanks for joining us, Carm. So the MAC just announced that Sacred Heart and Merrimack are entering for the 24-25 season. What are your initial thoughts on that for the MAC?
No, I think it's good. Obviously, we rather have more teams than less teams, especially with the way realignment's been. So to kind of protect the conference, it helps. Obviously, there's probably going to be a lot of moving parts still going forward. You don't know if teams leave to go to other conferences, and you don't know if the MAC can bring in a 14th team. It may help with scheduling as well.
Awesome. And, Coach, talk about Iona's new head coach, Tobin Anderson. I know he just had an incredible run in the tournament this past season. And what is it going to be like going up against a great coach like him?
No, I'm excited. Obviously, Tobin's, a great story from being a Division III head coach, a Division III assistant, Division II assistant, a former Siena assistant. And now, obviously, with him having so much success beating Purdue, a number one seed, he puts him in that class with Ryan Odom, who was at UMBC when they beat Virginia. Anytime. I really enjoyed playing Rick Pitino. So, obviously now Tobin Anderson, I don't know if he's that level yet, but obviously it's good. Obviously, Iona always does a great job with hiring great coaches, and excited to compete, and that's what it's about.
So as we've seen, coaches changing and everything, also the transfer portal, players change, and it's been impacted a lot by NIL. How have you seen that impacting, and how do you see that impacting Siena right now with the NIL, growing and players are looking to get more money?
Well, I think it's a blessing and a curse, right? So you can look at the portal as a way to go and quick fix a program or get what you needed, right? You go to the grocery store, you got to make dinner for your girlfriend, your wife, your fiance, whatever you're doing, and you can, get what you need, what ingredient you need to make your meal better. So we were able to do that with Sean Dura-Gordon and Giovanni Amajuru. Now, if the portal wasn't there, we're probably not getting Michael Ely. We're probably not getting certain guys that we're getting right now because it also is a distractor. So a lot of coaches and their staffs may miss on their top target, and now they're like, okay, we're not going to recruit high school kids. We're going to just wait for the portal. That's where we can kind of get a little more value in a student athlete because they're under-recruited, because many schools now are waiting for the portal.
And so switching gears a little bit about your team this year. So you're trending up. You guys have continued to get better each and every year. What do you like about your team so far? What are your expectations going into the season?
I think we have a little bit of everything. I think we're long. This is probably the most athletic team I've had here going into year 5. I think that the biggest thing is going to be now, can we carry over how we compete in practice under the big lights, right? Playing at MVP Arena in front of 7,000 fans. Obviously, you guys will be there watching us. And it's, That's for me is the biggest thing. You have a lot of foreign guys, you have new guys, you have freshmen. How are they going to kind of grow up right before our eyes immediately? And so that's what we've been trying to do this off season, this summer. And now it's about, hey, we have to be able to carry over lessons we've learned in practices, in close scrimmages, and carry it over to our home opener against Holy Cross.
So with every team, there's kind of like, there's that factor to win, obviously, but there's also kind of like another factor behind the scenes. Can you explain like a little bit of if there is another factor behind it and like what it is?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is, right, sometimes you have guys like Javian McCullum, Jalen Pickett, Elijah Burns, Manny Camper, Kenny Hasbrook. I could go on, and they kind of have the it factor, right? They have the charisma, they have the leadership ability that's kind of innate, where they don't have to talk a ton; they can do it by their actions. So now it's who's going to rise to the occasion in terms of that leadership, but not just in the spoken word, in doing everything all the time the right way, being able to hold guys accountable, but in the right way, in a positive way, and not always coming from the staff having to show that leadership, because certain teams you're going to have to do it with a staff. Last year we had a leadership council, and we have kind of guys in the wings with Jared and JV, and obviously both those guys aren't here. And then we had all guys that graduated with Playtech, Stormo, Jace Johnson, and Mike Bayer. So every year is different. Elijah Burns I didn't name till captain midway through the year, but I thought that helped propel us because now it gave him a bigger voice. And early on he was not playing. He was really worried about and taking care of his body and his knees. Now he was getting back to the level he felt he could play at. That's when I thought he had more leadership capability. So I think that leadership piece is going to be something that we should be watching. And then also kind of that energy, right? The energy and enthusiasm and appreciation shouldn't be coming from the staff and from me, pushing these guys. They should want to have that.
Absolutely. And you talk about leadership. This is a significantly younger team now. We had a lot of seniors graduate this past season. Who has really stepped up and taken that role of like saying, hey, I'm here for this team. I'm going to step up and help the team in the best interest?
Giovanni's done a good job. We did our Navy SEAL training with the program, and we felt he really kind of stood out. Now, obviously, also he's foreign, right? He was born in Rome, lived some in Nigeria, and then obviously in England. So just getting guys to understand it's going to be by committee, but being able to know that it's all within each of them, and then they need to help bring it out, right? They have to hold each other accountable. They have to say, hey, man, we can do this better, or you need to do a better job here, or hey, that's not how we do things, whatever it may be. I think that's how it's going to be, more by committee, just because, you have newer guys. And then Sean Dewar-Gordon, we're still waiting to hear from the NCAA, which is, we're just kind of doing everything we need to for them. So he's kind of, I think, been a little guarded in terms of his communication, because if he's not playing, he doesn't want to be the guy that's always speaking. But he does let his play speak for himself, which we've been really happy with. So now it's just a matter of him, waiting to see what happens with that.
Yeah, so you are describing this team and giving us a big picture. Let's dumb it down a little bit. Describe this team in 3 words for us.
Athletic, coachable, young.
Great.
Awesome. And we'll finish off today. What is your favorite food, Coach?
Ooh. So right now I'm thinking about DeRaymond's, and I'm thinking about their carbonara. Obviously carbonara, when you get it at different spots, is made differently. So whether it's in Sicily or it's in Rome, or down the street at DeRaymond's. But right now I'll say carbonara, but I'm a big, pizza, wings, steak and cheese, Philly Bar and Grill steak and cheese are amazing. But I'm trying to fit into my nice suits.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Coach. We appreciate your time, and best of luck this season.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and we're here today with Siena women's head coach Jim Jabir. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm well, thanks, Joe. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, I want to talk to you about the NIL, your team. Obviously, there's two new teams coming to the MAC in 2024-25 season in Sacred Heart and Merrimack. Talk about that and how you feel about them joining the league.
Well, I think it's a good thing. It's a progressive thing. The landscape of college basketball and college athletics is changing so much, and I think you have to protect yourself, and numbers help because there's so much movement and change, and I think gives us a good footprint in Massachusetts in the Boston market. And Sacred Heart won their league last year, so they'll bring value that way. So I think it's a good thing for the MAC.
So obviously realignment and teams coming into different conferences and stuff, that also happens with players and NIL deals in the transfer portal. How have you seen NIL in its growing impact the transfer portal and also lower mid-major schools like Siena, but also like all of college basketball as a whole?
Yeah, well, the portal has been very impactful, and I think what happens is unfortunately, I think, is that the big schools are still cleaning up. So they get the portal, and they all those great players are just coming there now because the bigger schools have a lot of NIL money. There's taking all those guys as well. So it's made it more efficient and easier for those guys. But I think it is helpful for guys like us because it makes it more appealing. And not everyone on our level is doing it. So, I mean, Saints March On has been very progressive and proactive and aggressive in what they're doing. And I think it really helps a place like Siena when you're competing against other at our level who don't have that. But it's going to continue to evolve and grow and change, I think, quite a bit as legislation comes in and we just become better at it.
Awesome. And so we'll switch gears a little bit to your team. This year you were ranked second for the preseason coaches poll. How do you feel about that? What is that like going forward into this season?
Well, I mean, I think it's indicative of the progress we've made, but at the end of the day, it really doesn't mean anything. It's just a bunch of people's opinions. I mean, the last 2 years, I think we were picked ninth, and I think we finished fourth. So, it's an indicator of what the kids have done and what the coaches have done to get us here, and, that we're more respected, and we have a better product, obviously, winning 19 games last year and, 1 point short of getting to the championship game. So there's progress, and that's indicator of that, but now you got to go out and earn it.
So you've rebuilt schools before. You've been at Providence State and other schools. How has it been rebuilding the Siena program for you over the past few years?
Yeah, well, I think what becomes really important is finding character kids. If you recruit players who are good people, it makes the transition so much easier. If you just recruit talent, you're going to be short, I think, a lot of times. So, culture is a much used word, and unfortunately, there's a lot of people who really don't understand what that means. But I don't think just talent alone will win you championships. People can be, selfish. They could be lazy. They could be amazingly talented, but you can ruin it for everybody else. And we went to Pitt Sunday, and they were bigger and stronger. But if you don't bring the passion along with the intelligence and all those other things, and if you're not playing for each other, then it becomes very difficult to beat anybody. And I think that's why we've been able to do what we've done, because we have good people and we demand a lot from them.
So, Coach, you mentioned character and culture. And I know your two captains, Naja Brown and Valencia Fontenelle-Posson, they resemble that character and that culture that you're looking for. Talk to me a little bit more about what they do individually to make the team better in every which way, on and off the court.
Yeah, we've had a lot of leadership sessions with them. We've spent a lot of time talking to them, and I think they're two amazingly great people, individuals. I'd include Baby Jackson in that group too. She's been in our leadership meetings, though she's not a captain. And I think the thing that separates those three guys is, first of all, there's a great maturity and intelligence that they possess. And then I think they're really locked into winning and winning a championship for Siena. And I think because of that motivation, they're constantly holding themselves and each other and their teammates to a high level of accountability. I mean, you can talk all you want about winning a championship, but if you're not willing to do the little things consistently, you won't. And they hold that standard, whether it's a great day or a not so great day in practice. You can see that they're pushing it, and it's not always easy because you're not just monitoring your own effort and intensity, but you have to monitor everybody else's, and that's quite a lot to ask of somebody.
Yeah. And you mentioned like how important and impactful they are to building that culture you're talking about. And I want to talk about the growth of Teresa Sapala and Eliza Mevius. What have you seen from them on and off the court as well that are making this team better?
Yeah, they're very hardworking kids. They've spent their summers representing their countries and have improved a great deal, but they still have a lot more to grow. Youthfulness, like being sophomores, early in their careers, they're still trying to figure out their identity. Am I a leader? What does my voice sound like? Does it carry to the rest of the team? How impactful can I be? So it's a process that's ongoing, they're both really great kids, and they're both very talented and have worked very, very hard, and I think their ceiling is really high.
As this team's been growing, you're gaining your way to a MAC championship, and obviously the drive for every team is to win. But in a lot of cases, there's also kind of like a secondary drive. Either some teams, maybe it's coaches last year, or they had a bad year last year, they have something to improve. What is that secondary factor that most people wouldn't know about with this team?
Well, one driving factor is the 1-point loss to Iona in the semifinals of the MAC tournament. They talk about that a lot. We were up big most of the game, and couldn't finish it. And we faced a very experienced, really good team, and so I think that drives them. But we talk a lot about. Obviously, setting the goal of winning a championship is foremost, but trying to be present in the moment that we're in. We go to practice today. We want 2.5, 3 hours of really good, intense work. And so if you can try to perfect today and then try to perfect tomorrow, knowing you'll never be perfect, but striving for that, then the winning will take care of itself.
And Coach, I love how you say that, strive to be perfect, but knowing that you won't necessarily always be perfect, but the excellence needs to be there. And the way you guys play really resembles that. Being a manager for you guys, I see it. Talk to us a little bit about the pace. I know you have a program you instilled in the offense. What is that like? Walk me through how you run that.
Well, there's a lot of people think because we run up and down and shoot early that it's like kind of playground, just running around taking shots, but it's very detailed. It's hard. It's hard to run your route as hard as you can every time, and we're still trying to figure that out. And so we run an offense called our Phoenix break, and we're trying to score in the first 6 or 7 seconds. We use ball screens, drag screens, step-up screens, dribble handoffs, but everything we do, we're trying to do quickly so the defense doesn't have a lot of time to react. And so that requires a great discipline and an awareness, and the difficult part is when you're playing and trying to read things, but you're trying to read things quickly, it amplifies everything. It accelerates everything. So now you're having to make decisions on the fly rather than taking a whole 30-second shot clock to make a decision. So that makes it more difficult, and hopefully more difficult to guard once we figure it out.
You talk about how it's so difficult to guard. What's your emphasis on defense? How do you guys want to play defense in the league?
Great question. So we want to attack our opponents on both ends of the floor. So we never want them to feel confident or comfortable when they're covering us, and we don't want them to feel comfortable when they're handling the ball. So we'll pick the ball up early all the time. We call it our dog. Our dog picks the ball up beyond half court and gets after him in the backcourt. And then, we're going to trap people. We're going to press people. We double down in the post. So, there's a lot of things that we're trying to accomplish. So it's highly effortful. It requires a lot of energy and focus. But I feel like, it's a model that we can achieve.
Awesome. And final question we have for you today. What is your favorite dessert?
Oh, I like pizza, but I know it's my dessert food. I'm gonna go with pizza. I know it's not traditional, but I can eat pizza all day long.
I mean, I probably could too. So, all right, Coach, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much, and best of luck this season.
Thanks, you guys. I appreciate your time.
All right, we're here today with Valencia Fontenelle-Posson of the Siena women's basketball team. Valencia, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing good. So we're here. We want to discuss the NIL. Obviously, you're a big part of it with Saints March On. So we'll start with, how has NIL impacted your life personally?
Personally, it's given me a lot of opportunities, and I've gotten to connect with a lot of amazing people and businesses through NIL and, make some money off my name, image, and likeness, which is great. So it's just done a lot for me so far.
Awesome.
Yeah, so based off that, it changed your life, but also it's changed everybody else's lives in college sports as well. How do you think it's been impacting the MAC? As students see this, they can transfer and get, life-changing money through these different NIL collectives. How have you seen that change the MAC and other mid-major schools?
I see it not just in the MAC, but just everywhere. NIL is just the new way of the future for athletes, and now we can get paid for kind of our time. We are already getting scholarships, and schools are making money off of these big athletes and their brands, but the athletes before weren't making any money. So I think that this is just a gift that was a long time coming.
Yeah, that's great. And so I know you've been working with some NIL deals currently. What are you doing right now, and do you have any plan for the near future?
What I'm doing right now, I'm kind of going with smaller businesses. Right now, I'm on the lookout for things that I'm interested in with Saints March On. It could be like a small deli, or even something like a cryo, like iCryo and stuff like that. So I'm just interested to see what Saints March On has for me in the future. And I'm just playing basketball right now. I'm focusing on my season.
So with NIL, a lot of partnerships will like to do deals with players of same teams. Are there any deals that you're doing with maybe with the men's team or players on your own team?
As of right now, let's see. Let me think. No, I am in waiting right now with connecting with businesses and doing the social media postings. So I do have a lot on my plate with other businesses right now, but I'm looking for more businesses to reach out in the future.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so kind of switching gears a little bit, obviously the season's coming up. It's going to be a big year, big expectations for you guys. Kind of a different looking team this year than in the past. How do you feel about the team this year, and what are your expectations going into it?
I feel really good about the team. We're really hardworking. We care for each other a lot, and I see when we work hard and we care for each other, that goes a long way. But we have a lot to learn, and once those games start, then we can be in more game-like scenarios and understand, to play together more. So I'm excited.
So the MAC does a preseason coaches poll and everything, obviously, and Siena was ranked number 2, the women's team. Does that impact the team at all, or do you guys overlook that and say, we don't care about that, we just want to be number 1, or do you actually take that into consideration going into the season, and does that impact the way the team plays?
Honestly, personally, I do not care about the polls, less to say. I mean, yes, it is great. I'm very appreciative that we have that spot. We were ranked 9th, I do believe, last year, and I do believe the year before that. So for us to be ranked 2nd this year, I mean, yeah, that's going to be really nice to hear, but it's just rankings. It's not us winning in March. So I'm just looking forward to playing in March, and I'm not really kind of focusing on that right now.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point. It's exciting where the team is right now compared to last year. I feel like you guys have made tremendous steps in the right direction, and you finished last year, I believe, in the semifinals of the MAC. So the sky's the limit for this team. What is your favorite thing about the team right now? What stands out to you?
I love how we care for each other and how diverse we are, because everybody is from every corner of the earth, and we all come together on this team, and we genuinely care for each other and want to see each other succeed, which I love. So I just love playing with my teammates.
Awesome.
So as one of the leaders of the team, a captain, what does that mean to you going into the season, being a captain, trying to lead these young players to a MAC championship?
As a captain, it's to hold myself accountable as well as my teammates. And it does start with yourself when we do talk about accountability. So I do try to be perfect. I know nobody is perfect, but like even with the little stuff, the details, if freshmen, if anybody has questions, I'm going to answer them. If I have questions, I'm still learning. I'm a junior. Like there's always so much to learn, and I'm not going to just sit here and be like, I know everything. Like my teammates get that. And I think that's why we're so close, because like we get that we're all learning right now. And when I say something, it's like it's for the good. Like I want to see you succeed. So they have a respect for me and I have a respect for them.
That's awesome. And Valencia, give me 3 words to describe this team right now.
This team is, I'm going to say fiery. We're fast and we're ready.
Ready?
Yes.
Awesome.
Do you have 3 words to describe Coach Jabir as well?
Coach Jabir, let's see. He's funny. He is definitely funny. He is very detailed oriented. That's 2 words. Maybe we can do that. And detail oriented, and he is stubborn. Yes. He knows what he wants, and he wants us to execute it, which it's good when we have a team of 12 and everybody going in, which direction. If he wants it a certain way, we do it that way. Yes.
That's awesome. So talk about the culture that's been established here. I know you came into this program not recruited from Jabir, and you've stuck it out. How do you feel the culture has sort of shifted as you've progressed in your 3 years here?
Honestly, every year is so different for me from the one before. It's like I can see the culture changing. I see more people in the gym. I see like people ready and after it this year, like from the start of the summer. Like that's what I was looking for. I was looking for the incoming people to kind of meet us or surpass where we're at, and that's what I'm seeing a lot of. So I'm really excited to see the culture grow and, how we change the culture here at Siena for women's basketball.
Yeah, and we'll finish off today with, who do you idolize and why?
I idolize probably 2 people. Number 1, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Love him. And my mother, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her. And she's such a hard worker, and I just love her spirit. So love them both.
Well, Valencia, thank you so much for being with us today. We appreciate your time, and we wish you nothing but the best this season.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, and we're here with Scott Noel, who's associated with Siena basketball. Scott, how you doing?
Good, buddy. How you doing today?
Good. So tell us how you're associated with the program and what you do.
So for anybody listening who likes when I yell 3-point goal, I'm the public address announcer for many, many years. If you think I'm too loud, then pretend it's not me. I'm also a Saints March On board member. So that's the collective for Siena, for the NIL collective.
So, Scott, tell me, what is NIL and Saints March On Collective?
Sure. So NIL is name, image, likeness. So student athletes back in the day could not receive money or any sort of compensation for using their name, image, and likeness, as the NCAA made billions of dollars. So laws changed, rules changed, and now student athletes can be paid for their name, image, and likeness, and it's that simple. Sometimes you have a following, and now those kids can actually cash in on it, for lack of a better term.
And Scott, you talk about this new collective being added for Siena. How long has it been around, and how has it improved over the course of the time?
Yeah, so Frank Ambrose is a Siena grad, class of 85, I believe. Frank, I'm sorry if I aged you, but I believe it's 85. Maybe I made him younger. And Frank started the collective a year ago with his wife Sheila, who did not go here, but she's an adopted daughter of Siena now. And what they sought to do was make Siena everything Siena could ever be. The following that we have, especially in the conference that we're in, should put us in the driver's seat in terms of support. Fans, we definitely win that battle. Hopefully, financially, we'll also win that battle. And so, what the collective has done, Frank is sort of on the forefront. He's met with Clemson. Clemson has a great program. He's met with other colleges, and is sort of a mid-major program that we are probably at the forefront. There's on our board, we have tax advisors, we have attorneys, people to help advise these kids who now will make money or have compensation of some sort coming in. How do I deal with that? I don't know. I worked at Wendy's for a summer, but now it's different. You're making a little more. You've got different sorts of compensation. So how do I account for all that? What are the legalities? Because these kids don't just get paid for performance; they actually have duties. Going to sponsors, posting on social media, a bunch of different things that they have to do appearance-wise to get paid.
So with these players having to make their own content and having to do branding and anything and all things like that, have you guys done anything to help the athletes with Saints March On? Have you given them any, maybe hired people to come teach them or things like that to help them? Because it can be, it can be hard for student athletes to be like, oh, how do I actually make this money? How do I make this content?
Sure. So social media following, I know what you're talking about, Carter. Social media following is a big deal for these kids. We've all seen what Olivia Dunn has done down at LSU, and it's because of her social media following that she's making the kind of money that she is. So yes, you can have social media following, but you're only going to have that if you create good content that makes people want to come back. So we did bring in someone, this woman, Sam, who is a content creator for social media. She's sort of zoned in on NIL. In her business. So we actually brought her in to teach, to do a workshop day, and stays in constant contact with any of the student athletes who are looking to create some great content out there. I think at this point probably Valencia is the one doing the best job with it, maybe. She really took the bull by the horns, and it will help them moving forward be compensated by different companies for their name, image, and likeness.
So Scott, with this NIL being at Siena now, how do you see this growing, and do you see Siena growing as a school as far as sports, as far as like students coming to Siena and things like that?
So I'm a big believer. I know Frank's a big believer. I think you kind of have to be a denier to not believe that sports leads to applications. It leads to enrollment. There's a direct correlation between an NCAA victory, even an appearance, that if you appear in the NCAAs, if you win a game in the NCAAs, you will actually have more students enroll in your college. And we all know that that's simple multiplication, right? Tuition times students, right? So it's the best billboard for your college ever is athletic success, especially the athletics that people follow and watch that has all the eyeballs on it.
So final question we have for you is where do you want to see NIL with Siena in the next 5 years?
So I think the biggest thing is that we're seeking to have early success, and success is judged by, for us, the performance, how we work between businesses in the area and the student athletes, how we connect them, and so far we're having some success on that. So now we're going to look for some wins, right? We want to have a good win-loss record, and that will happen when we keep kids around, like a Michael Ely, who, quite honestly, may not have been here without the collective. We keep guys like that around who've had success, and we can build a team, and maybe somebody stays here for 2, 3, 4 years who otherwise would not. Then that's the goal, is to make us as successful as we can be on the court, and to grow some good men and women through the program and who stick around at Siena, and put us on a map as a destination for great athletes so that we will have success on the court.
Awesome. Well, Scott, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes,
Thanks,
thank
boys.
you.
Thank you for joining us on this edition of Unscripted. We hope to see you next time.
Before we go, we'd like to give a few shout-outs to WVCR, the Saint, Siena College's radio station, for letting us use their station for this episode, Scott Noel and Frank Ambrose, and all of our guests that joined us for this episode.